Okay, guys, we're testing for the next 2 minutes. We're testing. We're just making sure everything is working. And I took my mask off. Let me say welcome, even though we have to wait until you really are.
Because it's working, so just...
So far, they're waving there. Greg just did thumbs up. Am I on?
You need 1 more minute.
1 more minute.
Talk about the weather.
No.
Penny, she's on.
The weather is perfect at the moment. I'm not even wearing my coat. I'm just leaving it. But I'm layered.
And you can hear her? Oh, good.
Okay?
Wait, we still need 1 minute.
1 minute. 60 seconds.
And you can hear her?
I just want to describe. Hernan is out away from the deck on the sidewalk. Greg is manning the camera and everything. Jesse and Ken are back. Joni wasn't able to come today. So that you know where everybody is okay. Ready?
1 second.
1 second.
It's 6:59. People are starting to come in. You have Mary Lou Bill Gray. Mary.
Yeah, Mary, yeah.
Hernan. Okay.
Okay. Everybody, welcome. And it's not as cold as I thought it would be. It's not as cold as it was during the day. So my coat is on my lap in case we need it. Guys, you know how I always begin with the story of somebody who has difficulties in life, either emotionally or with their bodies. This time I'm going to speak about myself because I'm handicapped in something which is very serious for me. I don't understand technology. As a matter of fact, I am terrified of it. I'm afraid to push buttons because I don't know why I'm pushing them. And what I noticed was I'm used to a world where there's a booklet with everything that you buy which you've never used before, whether it's a toaster oven or a microwave, and definitely a car. But nobody can explain computers to me. My grandchild, Jesse, he waves his hand over something and he says, I'm refreshing it, and suddenly it works. What magic is there in the hand? I know his hand is looking just like a real hand, but what does he know what to swing at? And everybody I know knows exactly how to do that. My son writes one word and he swooshes and the sentence gets written. So I am left out and I feel severely lost and extremely stupid. And I can't blame it on being 91 because I know of people who are just as old who love it, who love to get technology understood. So my son Ken gave me a lecture one night ago. He said, Mom, stop thinking of the things you can't do. Start feeling proud of the things you can. And that's very difficult. And then I spoke about it with my niece, Reina, and we discussed the fact that it is so easy to punish ourselves for things we don't understand, and so difficult to give ourselves praise. So, together with my family, I'm going to learn. And I have all these wonderful family members helping me tonight. because I can't do it on my own. Okay? Let me change the subject now and just speak of what I love, because I don't love technology. I'm going to let this be the first day of going, and that's really for you, Tammy, because you're the one who said, where are these paintings? And what are they of? Well, I'm going to begin with the one which really began my entire career, which I love. And that's the Lower East Side. Now, let me give you the picture for the first one. I got everything right here. The first painting was, my daughter drove me. Well, first I have to tell you how I got to do this. One day, my daughter said to me, Mom, you always hide in corners and draw the objects you're drawing. What do you really want to do? And I said, I would like to have the courage to sit in the middle of a street corner with a canvas and paints and learn what a street is. Up to now, I learned with a pencil, sitting in a corner where nobody sees me, and drawing a doorway or a person. And she said, if that's what you want to do, why don't you do it? And I said, middle-aged, at that time I was middle-aged. Middle-aged women born in Europe don't sit on the street corners to paint. And she said, Dad, to Eric, look what Mom said. Tell her what you feel. And he said, what are they going to do, arrest you? Do it. You're not hurting anybody, do it. So one day, we prepared. It was a beautiful day. It was May 3rd, 1973. May 3rd or May 10th. I wrote it down. But let me be precise. Because I think the people who did who gave me permission to do this first painting, I'm not wearing my glasses. Anyway, it was May 1973. And we came over the Williamsburg Bridge. And Joni said, where? And I said, right here. And there was Muscat's. And I sat down, she parked, and I sat down on that corner that you see on the picture. And I took out my paints and set up my easel, and I began. And the intent was to place the buildings, knowing that it would look so ugly, just splotches of shapes and paints, and that people would make comments, but I would go home and then I'd take photos and work from home. And I began. But I owe everything that came after to the kindness of Joel Muscat and to his father, Saul Muscat. They made me feel welcome. And they didn't say that I was blocking an important window where they showed things that they were selling. They didn't say anything. Instead, I found out I couldn't leave. I had to keep on. And I began. And I'm going to describe the people in it. Okay, the man on the bicycle is Tony Silva. He's right in front. Tony was the handyman, but he also took care of me. He translated what I was doing. When people said, What's that red spot? He would say, it's going to be part of the building. What's that other something or other? And then he would ask me, and I would say, it's going to become a person. And he guarded me, and he brought me coffee, and he comforted me because people were saying things in Yiddish and in Spanish that were not complimentary. And I kept on staying and coming back and coming back and coming back until the neighborhood accepted me. They accepted me because the mascots did and Tony did. So I'm going to explain the people to you. Joel is standing with his back turned because at that time I couldn't do tiny faces. So I said, let me put you in because you made me feel so welcome. But I can only do you from the back because I don't have the right brushes or the right skill to do a face which is smaller than a fingernail. By the way, I developed that talent later. And there is Joel and his father Saul. I want to tell you about them, okay? Because one of the joys of doing paintings in the city is that everybody has a story. And I am sitting there and they can speak to me, and they do. It's an amazing thing. There are now 92 paintings and folders of people and their stories. Someday, I would like to go back to the mascots and share the photographs that I took and the stories that I have with them. But most of the ones that I can tell you, I will tell you now. Okay? Saul Mascot. Let me do something. Let me be very precise. Let me reach for my glasses. Thank you, Greg. I keep forgetting that I'm not very good with my arms stretching. Greg, could you get the light a little closer to me? But don't line yourself. Okay? Okay. I want to tell you about Saul, first of all. Saul, the father, who I know passed away a long time ago now, but this was 1973. And I started the story. Yesterday I opened an old sketchbook of mine, and they are done 25 years ago, when I first saw the Lower East Side of New York, was my first drawing of Orchard Street. Oh, this is great. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Now I can see. I began this painting on May 20th, 1973. Okay. Day after day I came back, and soon time no longer mattered, and the people around me entered into and shaped my work. This street can be dangerous. Let me know if anyone bothers you. I'm Joel Mascot. Hey lady, you want to buy a genuine diamond? Carlos, look, she's painting you. Got a dime, lady? Let me tell you about this building. 50 years ago, I lived on the 3rd floor. Joel Mascot stands underneath the sign of the Mascot building. If not for Joel, this painting and perhaps this series might never have been born. If I would have sat in a different corner, you know, I don't need it anymore. Thank you, dear. Now I know what I'm talking about. I want to talk about the father, Saul. When they began, there was a push cart which had a lens grinder on it, and he used to grind the lenses. Everybody has a story of a beginning. And now when all of us are immigrants in a new world, because we never lived in a world with the virus before, where I cannot hug you or speak to you or be in the same room with you except 10 foot of 6 foot, 10 foot apart. I want you to understand we're in that world now where we have to redo who we were. Joel Muscat, Sal Muscat, and all the people of the 30-odd paintings that I did of the Lower East Side only began in a strange land, didn't know the language, and created it. I have met fewer people as kind as the Muscat family, because if they would not have made me feel welcome, I would have gone home. Because if I'm not welcome, it doesn't work. Now, I would like to show you some of those sketches that I spoke about, what I've done for years, for 25 years, before I sat down with the canvas. Kenny is putting them on my board. Am I saying those words correctly?
Yes.
On my Facebook board?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll see the sketches, but Greg is going to show them to you, okay? And they're quite fragile, but all I ever did was draw. It happened way back when I was 8 years old, and Hitler came, and my parents, my brother and I went into hiding. I thought if I could show people, then maybe people wouldn't hate each other so. And I didn't realize until one day my son, as an adult, and I was definitely an adult in 1973, he said, "Mom, why do you only paint people who are real?" And I said, because if they knew us, they wouldn't hurt us. And I'm doing all these people who look like the immigrants of today. I would like you to see them. And Greg, there you go. Just show them one at a time. Use your judgment. Nobody knew I was drawing them. I always went into hiding in a corner until 1973 because of the Muscats. I began this. And they're on my Facebook page. You know, what we're learning with this virus is that we need each other. All of this would not be possible, which I'm doing, if not for the people who are helping me to do it. If you draw somebody, if they know you're drawing them, they pose. None of these knew I was drawing them. Cheer Up, there's another sketchbook. But these are only the pre-painting drawings that you see. I still sketch people. But now that I can't be with people, I'm so glad that I did it when I could. People, do what you can do when the world opens up again. But in the meantime, do anything you can do to give you joy. As long as you don't hurt anybody. Wear your masks. I don't want you to hurt anybody. Okay, now you're coming to the very flimsy papers. And you don't have to worry because you're careful. These were done when I first came to America in 1948. But it was 1949 before I was in New York. And you know what I would do? I would, in order to get to the Lower East Side, I would, because we didn't have much money, so I didn't have a car. Besides, I couldn't drive at that time. I had to learn. But I would take a bus to a subway station and then take the subway to the Lower East Side. Until later on, when I was able to paint and also able to drive and also to have a car. Greg, only where there's a little,
Yeah.
no, you know, it just, these were together in a batch.
Oh, okay.
Just take that whole batch out. There may be 3 or 4, and just one at a time. I trust you. And if not, let me have the book and I'll get them. Kenny, do you still have them because you photographed them?
The photograph? Which ones were?
The ones which are loose.
I didn't photograph any that are loose. I only photographed ones from the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what? They're right in front. No, they're not. I got them. They were in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Begin with the one which is not loose, and then just the loose. Because did you ever see a religious man lying on the grass? That's what I have. With the yarmulke, and he's lying in the grass. And now here, one at a time. They're flimsy, but they've lived for very well. Guys, you don't know what joy art is. To sit there and to see it, to create a person who doesn't know you're doing it. In other words, a person who doesn't pose, who doesn't look and see, is my hair straight? Do I have my lipstick wrong? Did I gain weight?
Grandma?
Yes.
I don't want to interrupt your time, but just so you know, there are a bunch of questions for you. But I don't want to interrupt you, whatever you want.
Oh, I would love to answer the questions. When you speak of time, how much time do I have?
6 minutes.
Oh, no.
No, a little more.
I was enjoying. Okay.
7 minutes, yeah.
7
Greg
minutes.
could read you questions, or I could read them to you.
Yeah, can you read them? Because I don't want to touch
Yes.
Sure.
Then let me just say that if not for the mascots who allowed me this sitting in front of their store, and Tony, who brought me coffee and took care of me. My whole career might have been doing portraits for people who paid me to make them look good. I did some of those, but this is my joy. And now if you have questions, I'd love to answer. By the way, Shirley Baker called me today. Shirley is a part of my past when Eric was alive, when we lived upstate. And someday I'm going to speak about the Baker family because there's so much of my past. Okay, can I get the questions?
Yes. So Eileen Cutler says, great advice from your beautiful son.
Yes.
Deirdre, Brenda, and Michelle are watching. Michelle says, you post a video every week. That's amazing. I couldn't.
May I answer each one first?
Yes.
Okay. The first one, I do want to
Repeat
mention.
it back, though, because they can't hear me.
Oh, okay. Deidre, or Didi, you and Mike gave advice to me that I'm going to repeat every week because, like the rest of us, we don't know what to do in this pandemic. Give things. Look with what you don't need and give it to people. People have lost their jobs. People are refugees. People are homeless. Please give. And I'm going to repeat that in every time because of all the advice I've been given in how we survive. That's the best. The second question was what? About posting every week?
Yes, Michelle said you post a video every week. That's amazing. I couldn't.
You know what, Michelle? It's because I'm allowing myself to. Years ago, I would never have dreamed of speaking publicly. Especially Facebook scares me because I get messages from people which are very scary. But so what? But I get somebody like you, and it makes it worthwhile. And Eileen Cutler, you've been a message ever since I first knew you. And you're so talented. Keep making all the stories of people in film. I love you.
Beautiful.
Anything else?
Yes, lots. Michelle said you draw loving people to you. And Deirdre asked a question. When drawing these people, did you feel like you wanted to ask them about their lives?
No. I wanted to find out by themselves. I didn't want to ask because they wouldn't know what to say. They would say the things. It's by knowing them that I get to feel them. Direct questions don't work.
And Tammy says, Tracy says the drawings are amazing. And Michelle says, I prefer candid photos. Catch people as they are.
Yes.
And Mary Lou Bilgray says, have you ever made a drawing of any place when you lived in Panama? Or the people that you met when you lived there in Panama?
Yes, I did. Should I do that next week?
Beautiful.
Okay, remind me, Panama.
Yes, absolutely.
Could I just tell you, I had a man teaching me art whose name was Mr. Ecker, and I was a kid, and what he said was, drawing must be sweet, like eating cake. And I've never forgotten that. And it is. And it doesn't make you fat like cake does. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Wonderful. Then let me say one more thing, which is very important. Please, this is the one chance, because your normal life doesn't exist. Don't let what you want to do disappear. Do it. Believe me, you can sit on a street corner. You might not pick wonderful people like the mascots. But so what if people insult you? As Eric said, what are they going to do? Arrest you? But do what you need to do. Show the universe that we're worthy, that we are not what we sound like in the newspapers and by politicians. We are humans who give to others, who care for others. And I was a refugee, and America didn't let me in, but Panama did. And because of that, I know what it means to be rescued. Read the Henry Street settlement stories and find out what New York did to make people become who they are. Okay, I think my time is up.
It is up.
I love you all. Bye-bye. See you next Monday.
Yay!